You are welcome back to Chai's Moment. As mentioned in my last video, that I'm going to start relationship series. I've given the background information, and right now I want to go into ways to build and maintaining relationship within the family. And in this context, I'm looking at the immediate family, that is the husband, the wife, and the children. There's so many other families, extended families are there, friends and all that. But in this particular video, I'm going to narrow it down to the nuclear family, which is the husband, the father, which is the father, the head of the home, the wife, which is the mother, and the children. And like I said, what are those ways to build or maintain family relationship in this generation? Number one that I would like to talk about is effective communication. This has been overflogged over the years, and a lot of people have talked so much about communication in marriage, communication as a family. But I know that for communication to be effective, communication must be direct, must be simple, and the other party you're talking to must understand what you're trying to talk about. It requires the skill to communicate. Skills are necessary, and that's why we have communication skills. Don't forget that communication is an interaction between one or two other people. And if you're in marriage, communication encompasses more than talking. In marriage, you're not just talking, you are actually talking for whoever you're talking to understand what you're saying. And communication is the hallmark of a strong family. The honest dialogue that that we have is the bedrock, of trust and feelings. And so when we're talking about communication, communication must be open. Communication must be honest. You must communicate effectively, and you cannot communicate effectively if understanding is not there. In other words, whatever you're telling your family members, from whichever angle is coming from, everybody gets to understand what you're talking about. And that is when we say communication is effective. And also, communication cannot be effective without active listening. You need to listen. You need to listen. It involves active listening. You're paying attention and demonstrating patience, when you are communicating at every level, whether you're angry, whether you want to communicate joy, whether you want to communicate, happiness, or the other way you're angry, you want to make corrections, you must be patient. Communication must, be given the utmost priority. And when you're saying it, you must say in such a way that whoever you're passing this message to, either your wife or your husband, your children, understand what you're talking about. And like I said, this involves active listening. And now when you listen very well, it also takes you to you observing other things, that the person are not saying. Because in communication, there are things you're saying that you're still not saying. And there's things that you're saying that you have not said. And so when you observe, when you're communicating, you observe what the other person is saying, you can understand the verbal or the non-verbal cues like gestures, shrugs, facial expressions, feelings, and so on. It's easy to observe that. And you will understand what, communication is doing to that individual. Communication also serve as effective tools for resolving conflicts, preventing resentment from building up, and promoting a very strong foundation for the relationship is very important at any level. The way you communicate to your wife, the way you communicate to your husband, the way you communicate to your children matters a lot. Now, you don't want to talk to your children and just shout and keep shouting and keep shouting. Now, they're not getting anything. All they can hear or see is you're shouting. And it doesn't make sense to them. And so you're not saying anything. All they hear is noise and not your voice. And you need to pay attention to that. I say all they will hear is your noise and not your voice. Now, a noise is just a noise. It doesn't make any impact. It doesn't do anything in the family. But a voice, is specific. A voice will pass a message across in a clear terms and understanding that the family will understand what that person is saying. You don't have to shout. You don't have to, be strong about it. You make your, point, and everybody picks it up and they run with it. You have to learn to communicate openly. Express your thoughts and feelings and needs without interrupting the other person. Express appreciation as well. When things go well in your family, appreciate your family. You're still communicating. regularly acknowledge and appreciate each other's, effort and contribution to the family is very, very important. There's a saying in the scriptures. The Bible says in Proverbs 25:11-14, right? A word fitly spoken. A word fitly spoken. That is a word that is truthful, that utters appropriate, praise, that edifies the listener. In other words, not just talking, it edifies the listener. And that is how you make that communication effective. Like I said, you've heard so much about communication, but I think this will also bless you again. Hold on to this, learn from it, and let's build a strong family together. Thank you, and see you in my next video. God bless you.